I wanted to come on here and talk about this Rachel Nichols, Maria Taylor situation that literally has been just brewing the last couple of days. And I know a lot of people who are really high, like really into sports, have been talking about this quite immensely, especially because, these two women are over at ESPN. If you didn't know who was who, Maria Taylor is on the left and Rachel Nichols is on the right. And basically but I'm going to read the article. There was some audio that got leaked from a conversation that Rachel Nichols was having with someone. I think they were close to LeBron James. I forgot how they would what the relationship was between the both of them. And basically Rachel Nichols came out and said that Maria Taylor basically got her job because she's black. Like, she actually came out of her mouth, and she actually said it in the audio that was leaked recently. Now, this audio that was leaked was from a while back. It wasn't recent, but the fact of the matter is that was her voice. And now you have Rachel Nichols that's trying to come out and apologize for what she said, as if an apology will do anything for that. And speaking of apology, I saw a couple of these buck dancing Negroes trying to throw on that super simp cape for her as if she needs it. I'm like, when do people just allow others to hang out to dry when they done wrong? Like, why? Why? She knows what she did was messed up, and she knows she's a racist. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Excuse me. A bombshell report from the New York Times on Sunday revealed there is allegedly heavy internal strife at ESPN stemming comments about diversity that NBA sideline reporter and the Jump host Rachel Nichols made about her colleague Maria Taylor, an NBA and NFL reporter and the host of NBA Countdown. According to the New York Times, Nichols made these comments in July 2020 after ESPN told her that Taylor, who was black, would be hosting coverage of the NBA Finals instead of her. Nichols sought advice from LeBron James' longtime advisor Adam Mendelsohn on a call that was reportedly accidentally recorded because Nichols hadn't turned her video camera off. I'm telling you, them Zoom calls been getting people caught up. Between her and Jeffrey and his tubing, I don't know who's worse. I mean, well, I think Jeffrey Tubins might be a little bit worse because, yeah. During the call, Nichols can be heard saying that she feels like Taylor is only being promoted over her due to ESPN's long and terrible record of diversity. I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball, Nichols said in July 2020 via the New York Times. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You are not going to find it from me or taking my thing away. Now, this is her not only speaking ill about Maria Taylor, but also speaking ill of her job, the place that employs and pays her. If I was ESPN, I would have fired her. I wouldn't let this drag on. She would be fired. And then I would put a buzz into every other sports outlet to not hire her. I would make sure she was blackballed. And that's just me. And I'm being completely 100,000% honest. Because now you're getting a glimpse of how toxic she is. She cannot be around certain people. And notice she said, you are taking my thing away. She sounds like a little kid. You're taking what's mine. You're taking my thing away. You know, that also reminds me, or you know what that sounds like? When you have these palm colored people out here talking about you will not replace us. Sounds just like that. The New York Times reported that the call was recorded and stored on one of ESPN's servers, which numerous employees have access to. One employee recorded it with their cell phone and sent it to others within the company, who then sent it to more employees. The call was eventually leaked to Deadspin in the Times. Thus far, that employee is the only one to be disciplined over the incident, as Nichols said to the Times that ESPN told her that the content of the conversation didn't warrant any discipline. Now, isn't that crazy? The person who leaked it is the one who gets disciplined and not the one who said what they said. Kind of reminds you of Watergate, doesn't it? The only person known to be punished was Kayla Johnson, a digital video producer who told ESPN Human Resources that she had sent the video to Taylor. Johnson, who was black, of course, was suspended for 2 weeks without pay and later was given less desirable task at work. So damn, they punished the black woman for leaking this audio. Now it really feels like Watergate. ESPN employees told the Times that the company's decision not to discipline Nichols for her comments remains an active source of pain. In response to questions about the punishment or lack thereof of employees involved in this incident, ESPN spokesperson John Krulowitz said this to the New York Times. A diverse group of executives thoroughly and fairly considered all the facts related to the incident and then addressed the situation appropriately. We're proud of the coverage we continue to produce, and our focus will remain on Maria, Rachel, and the rest of the talented team collectively serving NBA fans. What kind of statement is that? See, they don't have, in my opinion, any intentions of punishing her for what she said, but they'll punish the person who leaked it. Now, if Maria Taylor had did this to Rachel Nichols, it would have been a whole nother bag of worms, and we already know it would have been. Look at how they decided to discipline, quote unquote, the worker who leaked the audio. Nichols, who said she was shaken that a fellow employee would record and share a video of her private hotel room conversation, gave a statement to the Times along with responses to their questions. In response to the questions from the Times, Nichols said she was frustrated and was unloading to a friend about ESPN's process, not about Maria. But she added, "My own intentions in that conversation and the opinion of those in charge at ESPN are not the sum of what matters here. If Maria felt the conversation was upsetting, then it was, and I was the cause of that for her." Nichols says she reached out to Taylor to apologize through text and phone calls. Maria has chosen not to respond to these offers, which I hope she continues not to respond or accept, which is completely fair in the decision I respect. Do you? She's probably calling her all kind of NBs on the other end of that phone, but she's probably making sure that her phone is not recording any of it. According to the New York Times, the response from employees who work on NBA content was anger and frustration at Nichols' attitude. With ESPN, particularly among NBA group that works with both Taylor and Nichols, many employees were outraged upon watching the video. They were especially upset by what they perceived as Nichols' expression of common criticism used by white workers in many workplaces to disparage non-white colleagues. That Taylor was offered the hosting job only because of her race, not because she was the best person for the job. The employees also said that Nichols made Taylor's job more difficult because Taylor also needs to go to Mendelsohn to secure interviews with basketball newsmakers. And this was also something I heard. That this Nichols, chick, she basically was doing underhanded things on the behalf of Maria Taylor to make her life more miserable at ESPN. Something that should have been a very easy or a pretty good transition for her, she made it difficult for her, almost as if she was trying to get her to leave. After Nichols' comments were leaked, Taylor reportedly declined to host NBA Countdown during the finals. She eventually changed her mind, but only on the condition that Nichols not appear on the show. ESPN agreed, then ignored that almost complete immediately by airing pre-recorded segments with Nichols that appeared to be happening live. In Taylor's view, according to 6 people who have spoken to her, ESPN executives agreed to the stipulation but violated it almost immediately by allowing Nichols to make short appearances without interacting with Taylor. ESPN declined to comment about the arrangement. It's some drama going on over at ESPN. The segments of other sideline reporters then became a mix of live and pre-recorded. ESPN later threatened to pre-record every reporter segment on NBA Countdown if Taylor continued to refuse to interact with Nichols. This led to a blow-up on the pre-show call between the show's commentators, Taylor, Jalen Rose, Adrian Wojnarowski, and Jay Williams, and ESPN executives. On the pre-show call involving the stars of the show and production staff in both Los Angeles and New York, Taylor insisted to an executive that she be able to conduct live interviews with sideline reporters. She also brought up the recorded phone conversation. Wojnarowski jumped in and called Nichols a bad teammate. Rose said that ESPN had asked a lot from black employees over the past year, but that he and other black employees would extend their credibility to the company no longer. Taylor, who executives had asked numerous times to change her interactions with Nichols, said that the only people punished by ESPN action were women of color. Johnson herself and the 3 sideline reporters, Lisa Salters, Cassidy Hubbard, and Andrews, who received lesser assignments so that Nichols could have the lead sideline reporter role, and now were not being allowed to appear on the show live. Soon after, ESPN began allowing all sideline reporters to air their segments live on the NBA Countdown. See, it seems to me this whole thing just opened up a whole can of worms of what's going on down at ESPN that extends even further outside of what's going on between Maria Taylor and Rachel Nichols. But it seems to me that Rachel Nichols definitely plays a huge part in it all, though. Taylor's contract at ESPN expires in just a few weeks, right in the middle of the NBA Finals. According to the New York Times, a few substantive steps have been taken toward a new deal, even though ESPN President Jimmy Pitaro has identified Taylor as one of the network's rising stars. It seems to me like they are pussyfooting around over there at ESPN. Rachel Nichols can keep her piss poor apology. And again, it's such an insult when black people are put in a position where they are able to flex their creativity and their muscle and to show what they can do, only to have it be undercut and underhanded like by people like her, and then have the nerve to scream, oh, the only reason they got this is because they're black or because of some so-called affirmative action. Meanwhile, white women are the biggest benefactors of affirmative action, such as a Rachel Nichols. But I hate that statement because it's almost like they're making it seem like, or they're making it as that black people cannot do or have the ability to do things by our own merit. It had to be some kind of a handout of some sort. It can never be, that we actually worked hard for it. It's always something else. It's never we actually worked hard and earned our keep. Because they have to so-called put us or try to place us in the so-called victimhood box. Did you know they always love to say or tell black people to stop being victims? They love saying that. And they some of the biggest ones who claim victimhood a lot of times. We can be here all day and talk about all the things they claim to be a victim of. Talking about you will not replace us. Doesn't that sound like victim talk to you? I'm just saying.